So thanks everyone for coming to this session, Control the Visibility of Your Content with the Entity Visibility Preview module. Who am I? I'm Franco Rosa. I'm a Drupal tech expert at Smile, which is a French-based company, but also with a lot of people in Ukraine and different agencies, for example, in other countries, for example, in Switzerland, Luxembourg, Belgium, Netherlands, Morocco, Ivory Coast, etc. We don't do only Drupal development, other kind of development, but I'm specialized in Drupal and a lot involved in the Drupal community. It is like 8-9 years that I do Drupal, and I started with Drupal 6 and started coding with Drupal 7. And then I was a developer, then evolving into a tech expert. For my contributions, I'm an individual member of the Drupal Association, individual member of the French Drupal Association, and also I was involved in the French Drupal Association board. Currently, I maintain or co-maintain more than 20 modules on Drupal.org for personal time or sponsorized time. Also, I'm an event co-organizer and moderator in the French translation team. And also I make diverse contributions. More information on my Drupal.org profile. So this session, we will talk why it is important to control the visibility of your content to be able to show personalized content. What was the journey that led us to the development of this new module? And what is the architecture of this of the entity visibility preview module? The three first part will last 20-25 minutes, and then I will show you a demo on a client project that will last 12 minutes, and then sometimes for questions. So why personalized content? It is important to be able to address the right piece of information to the right person. For example, if you can avoid your visitors to have to go through a lot of articles or a lot of scrolling to access the right piece of content they want, you will increase their engagement because, for example, a website where you don't have to search for a long time before accessing the content of the information you were looking for, you are more eager to visit the website again. Also, you want your marketers and content contributors teams to be able to preview exactly how the website will behave depending on personalization. So it allows them to control their work before sending it live. Two main axes of changing content. For the project, initially we had the requirement for a project in 2017. And on this project, we implemented in a custom way. Then we will see that later also in the slide. Then at the end of 2019, we were able to have the time and budget to implement a generic solution for this problematic. And at this time, the first two main axes of changing content were scheduled publication and depublication and adapting content based on segmentation. Also, maybe those two axes will reply to like maybe 90% of use cases. But yeah, and the other parts you can implement custom development for other use cases. Scheduled publication and depublication. You want to be able to schedule your content when the content will be available for your visitors. You don't want your visitors to have access to content that is outdated. For example, marketing operations, some promotions that are no more that are outdated, so you don't want them to access it. And you want your contributors to be able to prepare the content in advance to schedule publication and depublication. So For example, scheduling content publication or depublication is very useful if, for example, you want to you have contracts, and for example also in the first project where we had the idea of this new module, for example they were selling advertisement space on their website, and so there were contracts with sponsors or other companies. And so, for example, yes, at the first day of the month, some pictures of slides or carousel needs to be displayed at this page, on this page, this one, etc. And so it has to be done programmatically, automatically, and not manually. Also, the other axe was adapting content based on segmentation. You want to be able to show your users different content based on how you segment your users, for example, a level of experience, different client types, the age of the user, and whatever criteria you have on your business for your business need. Yes, why the entity visibility preview module, and what was the state of the art at the end of 2017? I know maybe it's old now, but it was to explain how we end on the entity visibility preview module. First, about the acts of scheduling content publication. There were two modules we evaluated at this time. The first one is a well-known module, scheduler, but the problem is that it was only and it is still, I think it is still only for Node, and the problem is that we were building a website heavily relying on paragraphs, so we could not use this module because we wanted specific paragraphs to be able to be scheduled for publication or depublication. And also at this time, there was no integration with content moderation, and also no preview capability. And the other module was scheduled updates, which allows to prepare changes on values of your fields on your entities in advance, but it was in a bulk approach. And in terms of contributions, the client wanted to be able to prepare publication, depublication, segmentation, etc. Directly on the entity form. Also, no preview available. The other acts, content segmentation, we had also the following constraints. The website is autonomous. There were no external services dedicated to that in terms of providing information that this piece of content was for this segmentation, or this user is from this segmentation, etc. The Drupal website had the whole information on which user had which segmentation and which content had which segmentation, and it should work for authenticated users. So the two modules we evaluated at this time were taxonomy access control, which had no Drupal 8 version, and the taxonomy access control lit, too light for the client needs. And also both of them were only for Node content entity type. The preview. We evaluated the workspace, not the workspace core experimental module, but the workspace contrib module in the deploy ecosystem, from the deploy ecosystem. And at this moment, it was not stable enough, not fine-grained, because the idea of workspaces is to prepare whole sections of the website in advance. But the client wanted a very fine-grained solution. Yeah, because he wanted to be able to administer paragraph per paragraph if needed. And yeah, so Workspace was too hard to use for the client and not a real preview tool. Because also to put it in context, the original project we encounter the problematic. The client was migrating to Drupal 8 from proprietary Oracle CMS in Java, um, which required a lot of custom developments. But this CMS had the features that is lacking from Drupal core. But yeah, Drupal core can do everything. Um, it is that, for example, in this CMS, in their back office, they were able to have a timeline and select any point in the timeline and be able to preview the whole website at this moment. And so a real preview tool. And so they needed that to be able to ensure that their advertisement programmation will be okay, etc. So with all those constraints, for the original project, we made it in a custom way, but in a generical way, we made the entity visibility preview module, and we will see now the architecture. To be able to have it in a generic way, the module provides a new field type. It is entity visibility preview, and it is inspired from meta tag for the storage and the field widget because we wanted something extendable with a new plugin system. We store the data in this field in a serialized way to be able to be extensible. Also, the module declare a new plugin type, and each plugin of this plugin type handle the access control logic that is proper to it, and provide and handle form element on the field widget, form element on the preview form, and the preview message. We will see that in the demonstration. And it provides a preview form which allows to preview a website depending on conditions. We will see that later. And the preview values are stored in a session. Currently, by default, the module provides two plugins. The first one is the date range plugin, which allows you to enter either a start date only or end date only or date range. And so your content will be visible depending on those conditions. For example, if it is start date only, content will be visible from this date. End date only, content will not be visible from this date. Start and end dates, content will be visible in this interval only. Taxonomy plugin on your content. When I use the term content, I mean any kind of fieldable content entity types, paragraphs, contents, taxonomy terms, users, any kind of fieldable content entity. And for example, you have another plugin based on taxonomy where it allows you to choose one or several taxonomy terms. Between the terms, it is a or condition. And on each field instance, you configure which vocabularies you want to reference your terms from, and which taxonomy reference fields on the user entity you want to compare with. And for the anonymous users, there is a dedicated form to set values. For example, you want your anonymous users to be considered to have these particular terms, etc. And each plugin can be enabled and configured per field instance. So, and we will see that later in the demonstration that the entity visibility preview fields can be added is added on paragraphs, but also on nodes, etc. Some limitations because it will be too easy otherwise. There is no distinction between anonymous users because the module was thought to have authenticated users in mind. We can make distinctions between authenticated users to have them different values on their taxonomy term fields that act as segmentation fields. So all your anonymous users will see the same results on your website. Also, the Node Grant API is not supported in a generic way. It means that, for example, if you only use the Entity Visibility Preview module, all your visibility conditions will have no effect in views results, entity queries, search API results, etc. Because as there is a plugin approach and extensible approach, and how regarding how the Node Grant API is done, it was impossible to make it in a generic way because yeah, it will have been easy to be to over engineering that and to be too much complicated. So we keep it simple and implement it. You can implement it in your custom development to be sure that it corresponds to your needs. About views integration, currently it is impossible to have filters on visibility conditions. But there is an issue for that. And we are thinking about taking inspiration from the web form module, but yeah, it is still in development. But currently you can display the visibility conditions using a field formatter. What is the time? Also next we will see the demo, but we make a small beginning of ecosystem around the Entity Visibility Preview module. There is the Entity Visibility Preview Simple Grant, which is a submodule to provide to fill the gap between Node Grant API and Entity Visibility Preview, at least for the two embedded plugins that range in taxonomy. So if you only use one or both of these plugins, only those ones, you can enable the submodule and that's it. You don't have this limitation on Node Grant API. And now the case study. I will reply to questions after. Thanks. And thank you for asking questions. So the case study on the entity first on the Entity Visibility Preview project page, there is a link to a global demonstration video, which is done for on a standard Drupal install. At this moment of this video, there was no the Entity Visibility Preview simple grants submodule, so it will be simpler. But now we are to have a better a more pleasant demonstration video. Will show you some real use case. Right after contributing the module back on Drupal.org, we had a project that was needing it. And so we published a case study on Drupal.org, so you are able to see it if you want. But yeah, so this project was Captain Tortue Pro. It is an extranet. The client business of the company, Captain Tortue Group, it is a Tupperware. I don't know if it's on all regions of the world. It will be a significant analogy. But yeah, Tupperware like business model for clubs. For example, they sell clubs and they have sales representatives selling clubs in private meetings. The goal of the website is to help Captain Tortue's sales force to have tools and guides to be more effective and to be able them to access more relevant content. So Entity Visibility Preview was used to allow content to be accessible depending on the experience and the role of the salesperson and depending on the period of the year. For example, they published new clothes corrections depending on seasons, and they want to be able to prepare their content before the new seasons start. Now the video. I will change the screen. YouTube, this one. Okay. Is it okay for the video? You see the YouTube video? I don't know. I will post you. The first minute of the video is only a preview on the project page on Drupal.org, so I'll skip it. Now you see that we have a webmaster which can see everything, and we will see in this demonstration two users. One is a junior one, and the other one is a senior. And yes, that's we will see that. So also the presentation is done on a developmental environment, so no real data shown. Also, yeah, we can talk about the Captain Tortue extranet in the case of the Drupal community. So in this back office, you can see that we are able to display on which segmentation and which visibility conditions each content is attached to. For example, this one is only for this kind of segmentation and accessible from this data. This date, sorry, etc. And see, you see the on page where there is a slideshow at the beginning. Okay, phone calls, not now. Each element of the carousel is a reference to a content. So you can see in the back office the visibility conditions of each content. Also, yeah, this kind of elements, and we will see later that every piece of this homepage can be contextualized depending on visibility conditions. Yes, so it is this one. Then there is also another kind of reference of content, like with cards, and then there is a view to show some documents to download. So here, as a junior, you can see that the carousel has changed a little bit because, for example, there is now 3 results instead of 4. And also these results are the ones selected for junior. I will keep the speed at the normal speed in the video. And also now you can see that for senior, the carousel has also changed with different. Also, you can see here in the cards there are now 3 results. Okay, not now, phone calls. Here it is junior. Yes, it is a comparison between junior and senior. Also in the documents, if you can see that every piece of information can be contextualized. Now there will be tests changing content and seeing that the results are taken into account. To be fair, I'm not the one that recorded this demonstration, this video, but I can easily show you. Okay, now it is the visibility preview form. You can see that there are all vocabulary, taxonomy vocabularies with all the terms. By default, it is an autocomplete form element, but you can easily customize it with some checkboxes with showing the hierarchy in the taxonomy terms. And also you can select which date you want to preview your website on. When you are in a website mode, we will see that after, but maybe you have already, yes, there is a message showing which taxonomy terms you have selected and at which date you selected your preview. And each plugin can provide the elements in the okay, and here it is shown that, for example, this content, it is only for junior, and only for the Christmas season, Christmas week, in terms of that range condition. And you will see that if you, in the preview, we select a day bit in this interval, that interval, it is okay, but if not, the content does not appear. Then it does not appear because the preview is in a senior mode, and not, even if it is the correct date, it is not the correct taxonomy terms, so the content is not displayed. 18 minutes. Okay, we have plenty of times, so I keep it slowly on the demonstration video to be sure. Okay. Okay. Here it is shown that if we select multiple taxonomy terms, as it is an OR condition between taxonomy terms, the content will be displayed because I selected a junior taxonomy term. And there is a reset button on the preview form to move back in normal behavior of the website. Current date, and also the taxonomy terms on the user account you are using. There is also a permission to allow the administrators to not be affected with the visibility conditions. Here it is shown the too much disturbing. Okay, internet. Oh, shit. Okay. Okay, so the article, okay, and now there is, for example, the demonstration that it was for at the beginning, it was for the home page content type. Now we see that these options on paragraphs on another content type, but here it is at the paragraphs level. Okay. Still plenty of time. 3 minutes left. Okay, I don't know who is calling me non-stop, and that they can't understand that if I don't reply, it is that I'm not available. Yeah, we change this paragraph in particular, and we'll see that if we change the user, the paragraph is displayed or not. here, yes, as a where it is. I think in the demonstration there was a little cache problem. I don't know. I don't remember exactly when the windows were refreshed or not. But yeah, I think it is okay currently. And last stuff is what? Yeah. After we will show also that in any kind of views, um, the segmentations. Yeah, here it is shown what is the how the anti-visibility preview field displayed on the node content entity types, for example, directly in the sidebar. And then it will be shown segmentation, for example, in views in an entity browser. Okay, 5 questions. Thanks. I will reply right after the demonstration. There. Yes, so here in an entity browser view, you have to see the selected content in which segmentation, which visibility condition they had been configured. And yes, the next step will be to have be able to have an expose filter to filter your views results on the segmentation you want, and on the, for example, also that condition you want, because if you have too many contents, it can be hard to reach the content you want to select when editing your content. So back to the slides. This one. Nope. Yes, Vivian, join us for contribution opportunities. And what do you think? So now the questions. First one. What about SEO and publishing content? Do you create an automatic response like okay. Anti-visibility preview does not act on the publication status. It is an independent system. But for example, when you don't have access to the content, it is an access denied page that is used as a response. So yeah, I don't know if it is what you expected, but yes, it is access refused reply. So if your SEO depends on this content, then later you can remove all visibility conditions and keep your content published or unpublished in somewhere like any other Drupal website, I think, without the anti-visibility preview system. Is the date range plugin working for anonymous users? Yes, yes. In case of planning paragraph publish dates, this will be very, yes, it is working. For example, for anonymous users, you have only to configure which taxonomy terms you want them to be assigned on or assigned like if they had values like any other user content in their fields. And for that, for each instance of the entity visibility preview fields. So yeah, it is working for anonymous users. The data range plugin has date only or date time attributes. It is only date. It is only date, and because we evaluate the access to the content at each end of the day. So it is date only, not date time. But you can, based on the embedded plugin, you can implement your own custom plugin that will be a date time plugin with date time attributes. While having all those conditions for your entities, you may blow up your caching tables. Do you have strategies around these general tips for handling cache with the module? Those conditions, access results can be cached. Access results can have cache tags and are aware of cache tags and cache metadata in general. So apart the plugin, the date plugin that refresh the evaluation of the access of on the date conditions at the end of each day. If you do not edit your content, the access result is cached forever. So I don't see. Yeah, maybe also depending on custom plugins, depending on other needs that are not covered in with the module. But yeah, I don't see more problems than other modules providing access control, like groups, for example. Also, yes, it is maybe the same problematic, but I don't think we are more. We require more caching issues due to cache tables. Yes, I don't know if it is. If it were what you expected as a reply. Thanks all for the questions. Is there any reason this couldn't act on segmentation data for anonymous users, particularly thinking in decoupled context? It acts on authenticated users for the no, okay. It acts on anonymous users, but all your anonymous users are will have the same results because you can't distinguish anonymous users from other anonymous users. As the access control is done on hook entity access, I think the visibility conditions are also applied with, for example, web services like JSON API. But yeah, between anonymous users with the module currently, you can't do distinctions. That this would require that you put some, for example, cookies or other tracking system on your anonymous users to be able to distinguish them. If you are able to do so, maybe you can implement custom plugins that will use this data. But to have a base, a generic base, we do not use that. Also, maybe we didn't have time this year, but we wanted to get to reach the maintainers of the smart content or smart block. I don't remember exactly the name of the module, which allows you to, for example, to display, but it is only on blocks for this other module. To this other module allows you to display blocks and with conditions depending of front data, for example, the device, if it is a mobile device or not, and other stuff like that, depending on cookie values. Because it is front, the other module approach is it is a front approach with JavaScript. There are other capabilities, but yeah, it is a very different approach. But any reason? Yes. So I said you can implement your custom plugins, which may have access to data to distinguish your anonymous users, but for what we needed and what we could contribute back to a community, we made some plugins mainly relying on authenticated users' data. I hope my reply is okay for you. I don't see any more questions. I'm reading the chat now. Okay, click the zoom, blah blah. Can you display the content? No, sorry. The demonstration was on a French website. Yes, but the important is the results. Junior and senior, can be easy understood in English. Unfortunately, the video cuts off. Sorry about that. Okay, I got it. It freezes right before the phone calls. Oh shit. Same here. Telesales people are really persistent. Yes, then, or maybe it's trying to contributions. What's been it? Okay, thanks everyone. I hope this session will be useful for you. And if you have any more additional questions on the entity visibility preview module, do not hesitate to reach me or any other kind of modules I contribute on my personal time or with sponsorized time. Thanks.